Have you ever wondered what would happen if you just vanished from someone's life? Not a slow fade, not a temporary silence, but a complete unapologetic disappearance. No texts, no calls, no explanation, just gone. At first, they won't notice. They'll assume you're busy or that you'll eventually reach out. But then, like a sudden gust of wind slamming a door shut, they realize you're truly gone. And that's when everything changes. People take for granted what is always there. They assume kindness is infinite, patience is unshakable, and presence is permanent. Until one day, it isn't. When you remove yourself, you don't just take your body, you take your energy, your warmth, your reliability. The very things they never appreciated now become the things they crave the most. And here's the irony. The moment they start to value you is the moment they can no longer reach you. This is the power of distance. This is the strength of silence. And this, my friend, is where Stoicism meets reality. Because true strength isn't in chasing. It isn't in begging for attention or demanding respect. True strength is in knowing when to walk away and having the discipline to never look back. So if you're ready to see what happens when you finally reclaim your worth, if you're ready to stop being an option and start being the one they regret losing, then stay until the very end. Because what you're about to learn will change how you see yourself forever. And if you've ever been overlooked, disrespected, or taken for granted, drop a comment below with the words, "I choose myself," because after this, you'll never settle for less again. Now let's begin. But before we dive in, take a second. Look at where you are right now. You're here, reading this, because something inside of you knows it's time to change. It's time to stop waiting. Time to stop explaining. Time to stop proving your worth to people who never saw it in the first place. If that resonates with you, then this isn't just another video. This is a turning point. And if you're ready to shift your mindset, reclaim your power, and never lose yourself for anyone again, then subscribe right now. Not for me, not for this channel, but for you. Because the path to true strength isn't walked alone. And here, you'll always have the wisdom of Stoicism to keep you moving forward. Now, let's begin. 1. The sting of rejection. They never thought you would leave. Not really. In their mind, you were always going to be there. The reliable one, the patient one, the one who forgave without hesitation. They saw you as a constant, a fixed point in their universe. Someone they could call at any time, someone they could turn to when their world felt unsteady. And because of that, they stopped appreciating you. You became background noise in their life. Always there, always accessible, always waiting. But then one day, you weren't. At first, they might not even notice. They assume you're just busy, that you'll eventually reach out like you always do. But then the silence stretches longer, the absence deepens, and suddenly the reality hits them like a brick to the chest. You're gone. And for the first time, they feel something they never expected. Rejection. People think rejection comes from words, a breakup, a fight, a cold goodbye. But the most brutal form of rejection is silence. It's not an argument. It's not an explanation. It's just nothing. And that nothingness speaks louder than any words ever could. This is where the panic sets in. Because when someone assumes they have control over you and suddenly realize they don't, it shakes them to their core. This is the moment they start replaying everything. Every time they ignored you, dismissed your feelings, treated your kindness like an endless resource. And now, for the first time, they feel the weight of what they took for granted. You see, when someone knows you will always be there, they stop valuing you. They treat you like a safety net, a backup plan, an option. But the moment you disappear, they're forced to confront a truth they never prepared for. You were never theirs to keep. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." The same applies to relationships. Nothing is permanent. No person is guaranteed to stay. And the greatest mistake people make is assuming they have more time. They thought they had more time with you, more chances, more opportunities to fix what was broken. But now, as they sit in the wreckage of their own complacency, they realize they were wrong. There is no more time. And that, more than anything, is what makes the sting of rejection so unbearable. Not just that you left, but that they had every chance to cherish you, to show up for you, to treat you with the respect you deserved. And they didn't. So now, they must sit with that pain. alone. 2. The void of missing you. At first, they convinced themselves they wouldn't care. If they leave, I'll just move on. That's what they thought. That's what they told themselves. Maybe even what they told their friends. After all, you were always the one who cared more. The one who put in the effort. The one who reached out first. So, why would your absence matter? But then a strange feeling creeps in, subtle at first, like a whisper in the back of their mind. Something feels off. The rhythm of their life is the same, yet somehow everything feels different. The morning coffee doesn't taste the same. The songs they used to enjoy sound hollow. The places they once visited with you feel emptier, because you are gone. And in your place, there is a void. This isn't just any void. It's not something that can be ignored or filled with a quick distraction. No amount of socializing, work, or mindless scrolling can erase the unmistakable absence of something real. They try, of course. They drown themselves in noise, new faces, new conversations, anything to keep their mind busy. But every moment of silence reminds them of you. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And right now they are suffering in the reality of your absence. They suffer because they assumed you were replaceable. That the connection, the laughter, the warmth you brought was something they could find anywhere. But now they realize they can't. You weren't just another person in their life. You were the presence that gave meaning to their routine, the voice that made the mundane feel special, the energy that made their world feel a little lighter. And now that it's gone, life feels dull. This is the part they never expected. They thought they had control, that they could dictate who mattered and who didn't, that they could take without giving, push without consequence. But nature always finds balance. When you give and someone takes without appreciation, the moment you leave, they are left with nothing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." And that's exactly what you have done. You took back your energy. You reclaimed your presence. And in doing so, you shifted the power dynamic entirely. Now they are the ones left wondering. They are the ones checking their phone. They are the ones feeling the emptiness. And the worst part, the more they try to fill the void, the bigger it grows. Because nothing, not new people, not distractions, not even time, can replace something genuine. And for the first time, they finally understand what they lost. 3. Overwhelming curiosity. At first, they try to ignore it. They tell themselves it's fine, that they don't care, that life moves on. But something doesn't feel right. There's a nagging sense of discomfort, a question whispering in the back of their mind. Where are they? They check their phone. Nothing. No texts, no calls, no signs of you. They scroll through their social media, searching for a glimpse, a post, anything to confirm that you still exist somewhere in their orbit. But you've gone completely dark. And that's when the curiosity turns into obsession. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Right now, their thoughts are consumed by the unknown, by you. They can't help but wonder, are they thinking about me? Are they missing me the way I'm missing them? Or worse, have they moved on? The thought of you living your life, unbothered, unaffected, maybe even happier without them, it drives them mad, because for the first time, they no longer have access to you. They no longer know what you're doing, where you are, or who you're with. And the human mind hates uncertainty. Seneca once said, "He who indulges in empty fears earns himself real fears." And that's exactly what's happening. Their mind starts filling in the blanks, crafting scenarios, imagining you with someone new, picturing you laughing, glowing, free. The more they try to suppress these thoughts, the more they spiral. This is why your silence is so powerful. You see, when you were always available, always responding, they never had to wonder. They never had to think about what you were doing because they knew. But now, every unanswered question, every moment of radio silence, every attempt to check up on you that leads to nothing, it fuels their insecurity. They start reaching out to mutual friends, subtly asking about you. They start lurking in places they think they might run into you. Maybe they even type out a message, but they hesitate to send it because they know, deep down, you are not the same person they once knew. You're not waiting, you're not chasing, you're not playing their game anymore. And that realization, it terrifies them. Because the more you remain a mystery, the more they crave answers. And the more they crave answers, the more they realize they have lost control. 4. Deep self-reflection. At first they blamed you. They're being dramatic. They're just trying to get attention. They'll come back eventually. But days pass, then weeks, and suddenly the silence is no longer just silence. It's a mirror, because in your absence, they are left alone with their own thoughts. And those thoughts, they are relentless. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But right now, their mind is a battlefield, and for the first time, they are forced to confront a reality they never wanted to face. It wasn't you. It was them. The self-reflection starts slowly. First, it's just a passing thought. Maybe I should have treated them better. Then it becomes a memory. Every time they dismissed you, every time they made you feel small, every time they took your kindness and gave nothing in return. And then the guilt sets in. Because now they can't rewrite history. They can't justify their actions with excuses. They can't convince themselves that you overreacted, because the evidence is undeniable. You were there. You gave. You stayed. Until one day, you didn't. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." And now, they are experiencing one of the hardest difficulties of all, realizing they destroyed something they can never get back. They replay the last conversation, the last message, the last time they saw you. They wonder, was that the moment? Was that when they decided I wasn't worth it anymore? And that thought, it's unbearable. Because if you had left in anger, if you had yelled, if you had demanded closure, it would have been easier. They could have twisted the story, painted themselves as the victim. But you didn't. You simply walked away. No warnings, no theatrics, just silence. And silence is the loudest teacher of all. Epictetus once said, "It is not events that disturb people, but their judgment about them." And right now, their judgment is clear. They were the reason you left. There is no one else to blame. No one else to project their mistakes onto. Just them, sitting alone with the consequences of their own actions. And the worst part? The only person who could have made it right isn't there anymore. 5. The urge to pursue you. The realization hits them like a cold wave. They lost you. Not temporarily. Not for a few days or weeks. But truly, completely, irreversibly. And now the panic sets in. At first, they try to fight it. "I don't care," they tell themselves. "If they left, that's their problem." But those words feel emptier every time they say them. Because the truth is, they do care. More than they ever expected to. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And right now, they feel like they have lost something essential to their life. Because what they once took for granted, the warmth of your presence, the reliability of your love, the comfort of knowing you were always there, is gone. And so the chase begins. They start with subtle moves. A random text, maybe late at night. "Hey, hope you're doing okay." A like on an old photo, a comment on something meaningless, just to see if you respond. If you take the bait, but you don't. So they escalate. They reach out more. They ask around about you. They search for signs that you still think about them. They convince themselves that if they just say the right words, if they just explain themselves, if they just apologize, maybe, just maybe, you'll come back. But deep down, they fear the worst because your silence, it tells them everything. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." And that's what you've done. You freed yourself. You stopped waiting, stopped hoping, stopped chasing, and that terrifies them. Because for so long, they believed they held the power. They thought you would always be there, always available, always willing to give them another chance. But now, they realize the brutal truth. They were never in control. Your absence has proven something they never considered before. You don't need them. And now they are the ones who feel powerless. They are the ones longing for your attention. They are the ones chasing something that is already gone. But no matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, you're not coming back. Because the moment you had to chase someone to make them see your worth was the moment they were never worthy of you in the first place. My friend, we've just crossed the halfway mark of this video. You're still here, aren't you? If you are, that means this message is resonating with you. It's hitting something deep inside. Maybe a truth you've always known but never put into words. or a shift in perspective that you didn't realize you needed. But let me ask you something personal. According to my analytics, only 10% of viewers are subscribed to this channel. What's going on here? Maybe this content hasn't fully connected with you yet. Maybe you're just passing by, watching in silence. Or maybe it's something deeper. Maybe you're used to watching without subscribing, without engaging, without fully committing to the things that actually add value to your life. But let me tell you this, if this video is reaching you, if these words are stirring something inside, then subscribing isn't about supporting me. It's about supporting yourself. Because what we share here isn't just internet advice. It's Stoicism. It's ancient wisdom, tested by time, designed to help you master your emotions, take control of your life, and walk away from the things that no longer serve you. And if that's something you know you need, then I invite you, hit the like button and subscribe. Not for an algorithm, not for vanity metrics, but because when the next video drops, you should be the first to see it. Because I know channels like this are rare. They're like small gifts from the universe waiting to be found by those who are ready to hear the message. And if you're still here, my friend, then you are ready. So take that small action, hit subscribe, because real growth isn't just about watching, it's about deciding. Now let's continue. 6. The battle between relief and regret. At first, there is relief. For a brief moment, they convince themselves that losing you was a good thing. They tell themselves, finally, I don't have to deal with them anymore. They go out, they laugh louder, they post pictures, they pretend that life is better without you. They celebrate their so-called freedom. But freedom, when mistaken for emptiness, turns into a curse. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But right now, their mind is in turmoil. Because beneath the illusion of relief, regret is waiting. And regret never knocks. It breaks the door down. At first, it's subtle. A song plays that reminds them of you. A place they once visited with you now feels colder. They hear a joke and instinctively think, I have to tell them this, before remembering, you're not there anymore. Then, regret grows. They start to realize that the happiness they feel is shallow, temporary, fake. The distractions don't work like they used to. The nights are longer, the silence is heavier, and the absence of your presence is impossible to ignore. Seneca once said, "We are often more frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." And that's exactly what's happening. They suffer, not because of what's happening now, but because of the reality they refused to see before. You were not the problem. They thought they could replace you. They thought they could move on without consequences. But now they realize you were never just another person in their life. You were an anchor. You brought stability, depth, and something real. And now their so-called freedom feels like an empty void. The worst part? They can't rewind time. They can't undo the moment they let you go. They can't go back to the version of you who would have fought for them, waited for them, loved them unconditionally. That version of you no longer exists. You've evolved, and they are stuck. Marcus Aurelius also wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." And right now they are starving for what they once had. But now it's too late. Because while they were celebrating their so-called relief, you were embracing your peace. And peace, true, unshakable peace, is something they will never have again, not after losing you. 7. The desire to play the game. Regret has settled in. Panic has taken hold. And now they do what desperate people do. They try to manipulate the situation. They tell themselves, if I can't have them back, I can at least make them miss me. So they start playing games. They post pictures that are carefully curated, laughing, partying, living their best life. They go out of their way to make it look like they've moved on, like losing you was the best thing that ever happened to them. Maybe they even get close to someone new, hoping you'll see it, hoping it will trigger jealousy, hoping it will pull you back in. But what happens when the game doesn't work? Because this time, you're not watching. They check their posts, waiting for your reaction. Nothing. They make cryptic statements, hoping you'll reach out. Silence. They drop breadcrumbs, likes, accidental messages, mutual friends who randomly mention them to you. And yet, nothing comes back, because you have outgrown the game. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." And that is exactly what you have done. While they try to manipulate emotions, you have mastered yours. While they obsess over their image, you have stepped into something real, peace. They thought they could pull you back into the cycle of push and pull, of overthinking, of waiting for their next move. But they don't realize you no longer care. And that drives them insane. Because what is power if no one fears losing you? What is control if no one reacts? What is a game if the other player has walked off the field? Seneca once said, "What progress have I made? I have begun to be a friend to myself." And that is the difference between you and them. They seek validation from the outside. You have found strength within. They chase attention. You embrace solitude. They play games. You are already free. And the moment they realize that no trick, no post, no manipulation can change that, is the moment they understand they have truly lost. 8. The crushing weight of silence. Silence is the one thing they never expected. The one thing they cannot control. When you were around, they could predict you. They knew you would text back. They knew you would care. They knew you would fight for them, explain yourself, demand answers, try to fix what was broken. But now, nothing. And that nothingness? It is heavier than any words you could have spoken. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings." And now they are learning. The absence of your voice, your energy, your presence, it is deafening. It fills every quiet moment, every late-night thought, every unanswered text they type out but never send. Because silence is not just an absence, it is a mirror. A mirror that forces them to see who they really are. A mirror that reflects back all the things they wish they could ignore. They sit with their phone in their hands, staring at the screen, willing it to light up with your name. But it doesn't. Because you are no longer playing their game. You are no longer giving them the reassurance that they never deserved. And that, more than anything, destroys them. Seneca once said, "Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men." And right now your silence is the fire. It is testing them, burning away their illusions, leaving them with nothing but the raw truth. You are gone. And they are left alone in the quiet, drowning in the realization that they never truly valued you until they lost you. That is the power of silence. Because silence does not beg. Silence does not explain. Silence does not ask for closure. Silence is closure. And no matter how much they scream inside, no matter how much they regret, no matter how much they want to undo the past, your silence has spoken louder than any words ever could. 9. The fear that brings them crawling back. Fear. It creeps in slowly at first, like a shadow at the edge of their mind. A whisper of doubt, a fleeting thought they try to push away. What if I lost them for good? But then it grows. It takes root. It lingers in every empty moment, in every silent night, in every unanswered text. It's in the pit of their stomach when they hear your name. It's in the way they check their phone, hoping, praying, bargaining with fate for one more chance. And when fear takes over, pride disappears. At first, they tried to pretend. They acted indifferent, tried to distract themselves, played their little games. But none of it worked. And now the illusion of control is shattered. They don't care about looking strong anymore. They don't care about pretending they've moved on. Because the one thing they never thought would happen, the one thing they swore could never happen, has become their reality. You are gone, and they are terrified. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And that is exactly what they are feeling now. They didn't fear losing you before, because they assumed they never would. But now they see the truth, and worse, they see you thriving without them. And so desperation sets in. They reach out, maybe a casual message at first, something harmless, "Hey, just thinking about you." Or maybe they go straight for the emotional plea, "I miss you. I don't know what happened to us." And if that doesn't work, they show up. They try to insert themselves back into your world. Maybe they apologize, maybe they try to justify the past, maybe they beg for another chance. Because now the fear has consumed them. The fear that you have moved on, that you are happier, that someone else has taken their place. And the worst part? The moment they lost you was not when you walked away. It was not when you stopped texting back. It was the moment they realized they never truly had you to begin with. Because love, True love is not about possession, it is about appreciation. It is about choosing someone every single day. And they assumed you would always be there. But now they see the truth. You are not waiting. You are not looking back. You are not theirs. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." And this is their trial. The moment where they realize what they have lost. The moment where they see the person they could have been. The person who could have chosen you, valued you, loved you, but didn't. And now they must live with that fear forever. 10. The realization that it's over, for good. At first, they thought time would fix everything. They believed that eventually you would miss them, that you would come back like you always did, that they could ignore the silence, the regret, the weight of their mistakes, because surely you would reach out. But time has passed, and nothing has changed. Except now, they are the ones waiting. They are the ones checking their phone. They are the ones replaying the past, realizing that every single moment they took for granted was actually the last chance they ever had. And finally, the truth becomes undeniable. You're not coming back. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A man should always have these two rules in readiness. First, to do only what reason demands. Second, to endure what nature brings." And nature has brought them this, the consequence of their own actions. They now understand what they were too blind to see before. There is no fixing this. No amount of apologies, no late-night confessions, no carefully crafted excuses will undo what has already been done. Because you have changed, you are no longer the person who would have fought for them, who would have settled for their breadcrumbs, who would have waited, hoping they would finally see your worth. Seneca once wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." And this is the end. Not because of anger, not because of revenge, not because of hatred, but because you chose yourself. Because you realize that love is not about waiting to be chosen, it's about choosing yourself first. And once you did that, the version of you who would have settled for less ceased to exist. And they must live with that truth, not for a moment, not for a season, but forever. Because now they understand the most painful lesson of all. They lost you the moment they made you question your own worth. And there are no second chances for that. So we've just walked through the 10 things they feel when you simply disappear. From the sting of rejection to the crushing weight of silence, from their desperate attempts to win you back to the final, heartbreaking realization that you are never coming back. And if you're still here, still watching, still absorbing every word, then this video was meant for you. Because deep down, you know this isn't just about them. It's about you. It's about recognizing your own worth. It's about understanding that the power was never in their hands. It was always in yours. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And today, you get to decide. Will you keep dwelling on what was lost? Or will you step forward, knowing that your absence is not a punishment to them, but a gift to yourself? If this message resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I choose myself. Because from this moment on, that's exactly what you are doing. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more Stoic wisdom to keep you focused on what truly matters, your peace, your growth, and your freedom. Now go. Walk away with your head held high, because they lost you, but you found yourself.